Welcome to the Fantasy Endgame. It's Sunday night. You know what that means. One baseball game left to wrap up the week, if you want to call it that. And we're back to finally get into two-start streamers because we're going to have a full week of games ahead. So hope everybody enjoyed the break. And it was interesting all-star game, that's for sure. Home run derby, a lot of drama. So look, can't complain. It was a good all-star week. It's weird, can't call it weekend. It was in the middle of the week, but it was good. And now you're wrapping up maybe your weekly matchups because a lot of these scoring systems, it goes up until tonight. Matchups will start again. You need some streamers for the coming week, or you're just looking for some pitchers with upside that you can actually pluck off of waivers that have two starts, see what they can do. As always, I'm going to help you with my favorite two-start streamers scheduled for the coming week. And of course, I'm going to answer your questions live, so get those questions in. Glad to see everybody in here who's already in the chat. So let's start, though. Those watching this back, I want to make sure you get your two-start streamers in. Although at first I have to say this. Now, with the All-Star Week, the schedule is a little different. There was really no need for a new waiver wire video because nothing had happened. And, a couple of videos were different. Check out if you haven't. I just dropped bold predictions for the second half. And it's funny because just looking at today, and it's been a couple of days since the second half started, I feel like some are already coming true. I said that the Padres would break out offensively. They might actually be an elite offense like they're supposed to be. They put up 8 runs today against former Padres farmhand Mackenzie Gore, who's one of the best pitchers in the National League. Maybe it's already happened. Maybe the Padres are like, okay, now we'll start playing. It's weird how just a couple of days off, but the mindset switches for some of these teams. So second half kicking off. Eugenio Suarez, yeah, he's actually getting better. I'm not sure how, but just an absolute monster. And it'll be interesting to see, man, when he gets traded, if he does get traded, which you think that they would, what they get back for him. Yeah, this will be very interesting to see who ponies up to get him. I think it would be worth it. And this wasn't really a bold prediction, but I did call right before the break my buy low, the last buy low. So this is the time to get Royce Lewis on the cheap. Maybe you didn't notice, Royce Lewis had 2 home runs today. This is still, maybe not anymore, but good time to try to buy low on guys like him. All right, and of course, my Nick, my boy, he was mine first. My boy, Nick Kurtz. All right, well, we can share him. That's fine. I got him in the Endgame League. I'm glad I have him. Nick Kurtz, being an elite first baseman. I mean, he already still is. He didn't home run today, but he had a couple of hits. I think I hit a couple of RBIs. Another good game. And I said he would be better than both Freddie Freeman and Bryce Harper. Now Freddie Freeman, who knows, already been struggling huge, and then he got hit on the wrist. Doesn't seem like anything was fractured. They're calling it contusion, but still, man, how things change. All right. Before we get into the other comments, questions, whatever, let's do the two-start streamers. That's the headline here. So a guy I'm sort of surprised is this lowly owned. I know that everybody's not still in on Matt Liberatore of the Cardinals. And look, right before the All-Star break, he did kind of get roughed up. Not a great outing, but he's been more good than bad. And so I just think it's interesting how, the body of work he's put together this season, a lot of people are just like, nah, not interested. He's been mostly good. He had a rough patch. He righted the ship. This last start wasn't so good, but I'm all in. He's my top streamer this week. Again, only a third owned in Yahoo leagues, less so in ESPN. He's got the Rockies and the Padres. Now, I know what I just said about the Padres. So, look, if the Padres already are like, we're serious, we're going to start scoring runs now, okay, maybe the schedule isn't as great. But as it stands, these are 2 of the bottom offenses in the majors. Of course, the Rockies, you want to start them there. And I'm not going to be scared of the Padres just yet. So, I think Liberatore is definitely worth it for 2 starts. My next one, it may not be surprising here. I honestly, probably the last thing on my bingo card for 2025 was to find myself talking up Mitch Keller. But here I go again. Mitch Keller has been good, not great, but he's been really solid, despite the fact that he knows he's not going to win when he goes out there because he's with the Pirates, not going to get run support. Now, Mitch Keller does not, there's 2 things. He does not walk batters, which is what I really love about it. Really low whip, which is what you should like about him. He also doesn't strike out a lot of batters. So that's why he's not, universally owned in fantasy. And of course, no wins. Not literally no wins, but hardly any. And if he gets traded, it's going to be a huge boost to his value. But even if he doesn't, this week he gets 2 starts. The Tigers, not a great matchup, obviously, but then he gets the Diamondbacks. And look, I don't know if Suarez will get traded real soon, but still, this Diamondbacks team is not exactly the same as it was early in the season. I don't love the schedule, just to be honest, but I like Keller, has been really solid. This is a high floor pick as far as 2-start streamers go. But, it's all going to be real tricky when guys get traded, who they get traded to. So just keep an eye on this one because it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Next is going to be Edward Cabrera. Now, this one's also tricky. I mean, he was looking like just a strong ad. And then, of course, something got to go wrong here right before the break. He not only didn't have a great start, but he had an injury, and he was just day-to-day, didn't wind up on the shelf. He's fine. He's pitching now, but keep an eye on this one. This could be tricky, too. Really not a lot of great schedules, honestly, here of all these streamers. I mean, they got the Padres, who, again, should be a great matchup. Maybe it's not. Who knows? And then the Brewers just can't stop winning. So I don't love his schedule, but he is probably one of the better pitchers out there in this group. So I would just be very careful to see how he responds. If he's not really sharp in the first start against San Diego, I'm going to pull the plug and not start him against the Brewers. So if you have that option, if you have that luxury, I should say. But I still got him third because my next on the list, I cannot be higher. Maybe I should be, but I can't get myself too excited about Mike Soroka. A lot of people really like Michael Soroka. I have never come around on him, and I never regret it because, look, his ratios are not good. He's a guy who will flash at times, look good, but usually gets lesser opponents, and then sometimes he'll get roughed up. He will get some strikeouts, and that's why he's still viable here, but it's the schedule. So he gets the Reds and then at the Twins. So this is why Soroka is an option. These are both teams that are in the month of July, have been bottom 10 offenses, Cincinnati and Minnesota. And again, the chance for some strikeouts. It's not like Washington has been winning very much lately, so not a great chance for wins there either. But as you know, the common theme here with streamers is the are usually on bad teams, which is why they're not owned in the first place. So beggars can't be choosers here, right? Next is a guy who's really haven't talked about a whole lot. A very fringe starter. And in fact, the next 2 guys are very similar. So let's start with Joey Cantillo of the Guardians. Guardians and their team, they're kind of like in limbo. Are they going to be buyers? Are they going to be sellers? Are they going to do nothing? I don't know what they're going to do. They probably don't. I mean, realistically, they don't seem like contenders to me. They're not out of it necessarily. They're not having a horrible season, but nothing about them screams that they've got a chance to win the World Series. And, they might be better off selling what they got to rebuild for next year, I think. But regardless of that, I mean, look, Cantillo is now in the rotation. He was really good in long relief early in the season. As a spot starter, was pretty good. And then as a rotation member, uneven. Sometimes looks good, sometimes doesn't. But he's been able to rack up Ks. And so that's the thing with Cantillo. He does get a high K rate, but he also does give up some hard hits at times. So risky. Of course, we're in the danger zone here. We're getting to the middle of the 2-start streamers. He gets the Orioles and he gets at the Royals. So you do like that schedule, right? Orioles have not been good lately. The Royals might turn it around, but still, in KC, not a dangerous matchup there. Actually, it's shocking. I found this out when I was looking for my data here. The Orioles are the only team that has scored fewer runs than the Orioles in July are the Pirates. Yeah, the Orioles have just, I don't know what has happened. It's shocking from last year, a team we thought was the best young team in the majors, and then they kind of had a disappointing year. Now it's just all gone to hell. I don't know what happened to Baltimore, but it's really kind of sad, actually. So good matchups here with Cantillo, but again, you don't know what to expect from this guy because he's a lot like my next choice, Jacob Lopez. Eerily similar, right? A guy who will rack up Ks and sometimes look unhittable and sometimes look way too hittable. And Jacob Lopez, you just don't know from start to start. Now his schedule isn't as good as Cantillo's. That's why I got him lower. He got the Rangers and the Astros. And now you're thinking, wait, Rangers? Yeah, the Rangers are actually one of the best offenses in July. They have turned it around, and this is a road game. Astros actually are a much better matchup here, but again, this is a little scary. Not going to lie, Jacob Lopez. I will like him sometimes. I don't love him this week, but he's still at least viable because he can get through the Ks, and maybe he pulls off a quality start or two. And then I got two more options here for you. Zach Eflin. I don't like it. Look, I'm just not big on Eflin. The one thing I will say here, we've seen this happen. Maybe he's going to show off for some trade suitors because, as I just said, with Baltimore, they've been bad. They're going to sell. A guy like Eflin, it just is a no-brainer to trade to a contender that's looking for some depth of rotation. So I think that Eflin might be good this week because he gets the Guardians and the Rockies. Great schedule. Maybe this is a chance for him to showcase he's still got something left in the tank, so he goes somewhere good. And Cleveland, like I said, they're looking like sellers in July. In terms of WOBA, they are bottom 5. So great schedule for Eflin. I just wished I had more faith in him. And then last, but never least, I'm going to always throw Tyler Anderson in there. He is a 2-start streamer this week, and he is an option. He gets the Mets and the Mariners. Middle of the road schedule. He's a middle of the road pitcher. If you just don't want to sweat these other guys I talked about, you can always just throw Tyler Anderson in your lineup. Although I will say he has not been as good lately. He started out the season pretty solid. But you know what? These are the best of the 2-start streamers you got this coming week. And there's plenty of other guys I would rather not have. So there you go. Do what you will with that information. All right, now it's time for me to get to your questions, your comments to help you all out. And let's start with back to back. Who was first here? Not including F. Would you drop any of Soderstrom, Swanson, Pajes, or Perdomo for Marcell Ozuna in a 12-team points league? I'm basically just gonna go no, flat no. And the reason is I'm not picking up Ozuna, and I can say this as you all know who are in our league, in the Endgame viewer league. Ozuna got dropped right before the break, right? Like a couple of weeks ago, maybe barely over a week ago. I saw him there. I said, oh, that's interesting. And I did nothing. I didn't claim him. I didn't try to add him. I left him there. I was like, I don't want a part of this because what we've seen is, I mean, the hip tear has got to be affecting him. It's got to be. This isn't just Atlanta's been struggling and he's cooled down. No. It's got to be health related. We knew it would flare up at some point. He hasn't talked about it. He hasn't hit the IL. The results have shown something is wrong because over the last 2 months, his batting average has been very low. The power has gone away. I don't see it getting better. I mean, if this is really a physical issue that's nagging him, it's not going to help if he just goes out there every day. And the Braves offense is not a good offense. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the Braves offense is not a good offense. They are a bottom 10 offense on the whole season. And since Ronald Acuna has come back, they're still a bottom 10 offense. Okay. This is not the team from 2 years ago. It's just not. The players are mostly the same, but it's just not. So anyways, no, I'm not going to pick up Ozuna in a points league, especially not. All right, Keith. Should I drop Luzardo for David Peterson? Like I get being concerned about Luzardo. In fact, I'm probably going to talk about Luzardo in the panic video. Very uneven lately. He's another guy who started out on fire and just hasn't been as good. But he hasn't been consistently bad either. I know it's easy to say, but if you have him, it's not easy to forget those 2 games where he just got obliterated, where he was supposedly tipping his pitches, and he bounced back, but then he's also been bad again. So I'm not going to give up on him because one thing at least he's done the last couple of starts, he's still racking up Ks. He's still on an excellent team. You're going to have to kind of take the good with the bad. He's a pitcher. He's looking more like what we'd expect from Luzardo, ups and downs, but No, I'm mostly holding Luzardo, especially in a categories league. David Peterson is fine. I mean, you can add Peterson, but I don't think I'm dropping Luzardo. That's right. Happy Sunday. Happy second half, Raul. Just giving a shout out here. And hi, Andrea. Everyone else who's in here. All right, back to Keith. Struggling for RBIs. Otto Lopez had more than anybody. Pick him up and bench Duran. That's fine. Duran, I'm not going to drop. I'm going to keep him, especially we know Duran might get traded. Maybe goes to a good situation. Maybe that kickstarts him, whatever. But he's not on your lineup for RBIs necessarily anyways. But yeah, Otto Lopez, as long as he keeps it going. Again, I'll always say this. Anybody who's going to help you here now, sure, pick him up until the well runs dry. So yeah, you can do that. Neftali, how are you doing? Okay, got this in terms of Protesh. You got a lot of talent. Man, you have a lot of good pitchers. And those guys are all on waivers. Okay, well, Schlittler was looking really good, but I know he had some sort of an issue. He's day-to-day. No, Cameron, I've talked about. He's been fading. Cabrera is really a streamer. Is he better than who you've got? No. Look, none of those players are better than the pitchers you have. You really don't need to even think about streaming. You're good. Your pitching staff is great, actually. F, by the way, I love this. It's like a Christmas every evening. I will say this. Of course, it's personal with Nick Kurtz. Why I deeply invested in him now, because two things. First of all, I traded for him in our endgame league and basically traded him for, I think it was JP Sears, someone who was solid at the time, but not worth owning now. So I love that I got Kurtz. And then in the TGFBI, the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational, which is a big industry league that I'm in, I basically blew a third of my fab on him, and I have zero regrets because he was absolutely worth it. I went all in. I know some people were going to bid 200 to something. I bid like 360, 3 something. I don't know, 300 out of $1,000 budget because I wanted Nick Kurtz, and I'm glad I did it. Absolutely worth it. So I am heavily invested in Nick Kurtz. I have him in some other league too, but yeah, that's why. So I get it, F. I get it. All right, Jeff Erskine. Should I drop Real Muto? Yes. For anyone, yes. For Herrera, definitely. Yeah, look, I've talked about Real Muto. I mean, you may have seen this a couple of weeks ago and a few weeks before that. Cut list. Just this guy is not a fantasy stud anymore, and he's not even a fantasy starter. He's just not. Empty calories, yes. Is he getting you steals? The big advantage of Real Muto used to get you was he got steals as a catcher. He gets you no steals anymore. Power. He doesn't get you power anymore. There's so many catchers and give you more home runs and RBI. So, yeah, do this. Do this yesterday. Tribal needs first base help. The players that can drop would be Ozuna. And there you go. First baseman or Walker and Keggs. Okay, well, Tribal, you've been watching the videos. You know what I think about this. My bold prediction one of my bold predictions was that Keggs breaks out in the second half. I'm picking him up. I actually traded for him. I can't call it buy low because this was like a big 2-for-2 deal, but it's a keeper league, so it's different. Anyways, I traded 4 Keggs in a keeper league like 2 days ago. I had picked him up in another league. I think that you can roll with him. He didn't go deep today, but he had a couple RBIs. It hit. Yeah, I'm dropping Ozuna, and I'm picking up Keggs. F wants to know would it trade Roman Anthony for Mitch Keller? No, because Roman Anthony has that breakout potential to be a legit stud. It's not guaranteed. Just because he's the number one prospect doesn't mean he's the number one fantasy player as a rookie, but he has that upside. Keller does. Keller's more just like a solid mid-rotation piece if he lands in a good spot. So, nah, that's too much. Redraft, of course, yeah, but still. Durf Boy, what's up, Durf Boy? I know you can't do this. It was one bad start. Mackenzie Gore has been good all year. He's still going to be, if not the leader, one of the leaders in strikeouts. It was a bad start. It was against his former team. Maybe he had PTSD or something. I don't know. Now this, I love this. Adrian Del Castillo. So I haven't done this week's Beat the Breakout yet because it's just not time yet. And Adrian Del Castillo is going to be on there. He's one of my favorites. Okay, sure, partly because he's a Cane, former Cane. I love my Miami Hurricanes, but he is a hit tool first catcher, offensive-minded catcher. Arizona is going to give him playing time because, first of all, Gabriel Moreno out, right? He's on the shelf. Only reason Del Castillo hadn't been up earlier because he's been hurt almost all year. I mean, you look at what he did last year, the time he was at Arizona, he was great. But he can also DH. And look, Pavin Smith is hurt. Grichuk might be traded. If Eugenio Suarez is traded, yeah, they're going to have plenty of openings in Arizona, which means Del Castillo, absolutely. Augustin Ramirez 2.0. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. All right, back to Tribal. Have Freddie Freeman. Okay. Could you trade him based on name value? You should be able to. This depends on, who is looking for a first baseman, who's willing to take Freddie Freeman. And I get this because even I am trying to be, I think I am one of the most objective analysts out there. Like, I detach from the name. All right, I don't care about the past and the history and the track record matters, but at the same time, if a guy's it's just bad, you trade him. I have been unwilling up until now to dismiss Freddie Freeman as a bust because he was good in the first part of the season, and it's Freddie Freeman, right? There's certain guys, okay, you just give the benefit of the doubt, but now you got to wonder what's going on. I wouldn't mind trying to move on from him. I wouldn't mind. It's just as tough for someone like Michael Busch. Michael Busch is just, I'm not completely sold on him being an elite first baseman the rest of the season either. He's in a great team. He's got power. He's always had power. The batting average is, fine, but I mean, you can do this. I think it's fair. I think you can do this. I don't feel like you have to move on from Freedom immediately, like you have to get rid of him, but I think you can. I think it's fair to do that. But I'm actually going to talk about Freeman probably in the Panic video too. All right. Let's see what else we got. Trying to make sure we get everybody fantasy sports. In order, top 3 players rest of the season: Profar, Vinny P, Butler, Ward, Luis Robert, and Albies. All right. I think I'm going to work backwards here. I've already said it's time to drop Albies. I'm done with him. Let's move on. I already railed against the Braves offense. And sure, as I mentioned on the trade video, Luis Robert could see a bump in value, but this is still a big if. And the batting average, too risky here. I'm going to put him, I might even go reverse order here. I think the top 3 are going to be Butler. I think he's my number 1. I'm getting a little warmer on Ward. I think there's a good chance he gets traded. So I'm going to go Butler, Ward. And then number 3 is probably going to be Vinny P. It's close between him and Profar. But I think I'm actually going to say, because I think I feel better about the Royals' offense second half than the Braves. So I'll go Butler, Ward, Pascatino. I'm not even sure what this means, but Uncle Ted loves to drop in here and just random Joe Boyle. We haven't had a Joe Boyle comic question, so here we go. Ian Seymour is better than Joe Boyle. All right. I can't disagree with that. Keith wants to know Roman Anthony or Austin Hayes. You got to go Anthony. The upside it's tremendous. Again, not guaranteed that he's going to have a huge breakout second half, but he absolutely could. Hayes is solid, but you got to go Anthony. Anthony's been hitting for average now lately, at least. And the power should show up. Okay, so let's see. Harry, what's up, Harry? Elbow soreness, resurfacing. Cheat rod looks like a sure drop. Who should I pick up as a replacement for IL? Bryce Miller, Bailey Ober, Bradish, Arrighetti, Luis Garcia. Interesting question here. So I personally have stashed a couple of those players in different leagues. I have all of them except for Garcia stashed in different leagues, and a couple of them I just picked up. So if you're just looking for one, well, if I have to put these in order, I still like Arrighetti. I like Arrighetti. I'm going to go Arrighetti 1, Miller 2, Bradish 3, and then Ober, and then Garcia. I'm not really investing in Garcia. Miller's the one. If you remember preseason, it was all over him, and he just hasn't been right all year. And at least there's a reason for it. At least there's some injury that we can blame. I just don't know, man. Hopefully he looks right after he comes back. So I'd like to say Bryce Miller will be the best of this bunch, but I don't know. I feel best about Arrighetti right now. Okay, Ryan is in the house. Should you think about selling Ranger Suarez? I think you should, because he obviously just came off a bad start. And I always say, and you should always think, you don't want to overreact to one bad start by a pitcher. But here's the thing with Suarez, what we've seen, and we've seen that over parts of like 3 different seasons, he's been dominant. But we've never seen him dominant over a full season. And sometimes it's injury to blame. Usually it's injury to blame. But you got to wonder. Part of you's got to wonder, is he going to keep this up second half? Is he going to falter kind of like he did? Now, again, he was interrupted by an IL stint. But, yeah, you got to wonder. If you can sell high, I would sell high, right? Make sure you're getting really good player. Don't just dump him after a bad start and sell low. So, yeah. And then he wants to know, Trevor Rogers, Yuri Perez worth a pickup? Yuri Perez, absolutely worth a pickup. Trevor Rogers, sorry, I'm not buying into it. He's supremely overachieving. This guy does not have an elite fastball. He doesn't have really any elite pitch. I just feel like that really bad start is coming. He's getting by with also a low strikeout rate. Yeah, I'm not buying into it. I think you're in a more of a shallow league, if I remember. So I'm going to go Yuri, but not Rogers. F wants to know, is it time to stash Spencer Jones? I don't think so. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but I remember what I heard before the season. They're like, we're not going to see him in the Yankee uniform this year. Maybe that has changed, but at the same time, what do the Yankees do at the deadline? They go out and buy. They don't look down to the farm system, and call. If Spencer Jones gets traded, that would be different. But I also remember them saying that he was kind of one of their untouchables. Of course, no one's untouchable if you're going to get an elite player in exchange, but this is very iffy. Let's just say Jones is not a guy I feel like is going to contribute much this year, even if he gets a look this year. So he's not going to be top of my list. Mark Peterson, welcome. Need a closer bad. Got David Robertson before the news broke. Do I have a closer in top 5 team in MLB? Well, what you probably have is a guy who will get you a couple of saves here and there on a top 5 team in MLB. So this is just what the Phillies have become. It's a committee. It's a non-committal kind of thing. Romano, yeah, sure, maybe he could have been the guy if he didn't struggle so much, but still, there hasn't been a guy. They didn't, like, it's not even that anybody has stepped up to take the job. They just haven't given anybody that chance. I feel like this is intentional. Strom sometimes, Kirkring sometimes, and sure, they've been inconsistent, but what closer and how many teams have an elite closer? Anybody who doesn't, they don't have a guy who isn't at sometimes, up and down. I just don't think they're going to have a closer period, the rest of the season. It's going to be here and there, mix and match. Robertson, of course, there's always the concern that he's not going to rust off because he was just sitting by waiting for some team to sign him. So he might get you some saves, but what I would do, Mark, is I'm going to look at some of these teams that are likely to trade their closer and get that back up right now. So I'm going to pick up, if I'm you need a closer bad. Now, I don't know who's available in your league, of course. If it's a save and hold league, then you're probably screwed. But if you need a closer bad, then you probably aren't in save and hold league. I'm going to throw out some names for you, Mark. If you can stash some of these guys. I can't guarantee who gets traded, who doesn't, but here's my order of preference. Lucas Urseg, Cade Smith. Okay, make Cade Smith first. Cade Smith, Lucas Urseg, Dennis Santana, Tony Santillan, right? Some of those pitchers, Reed Detmers. Some of those pitchers could wind up being closers in about 11 days or less. So I would just start speculating there. And as soon as you hear of a trade happen, if you see like a Carlos Estevez, Kenley Jansen, those guys get traded, you swoop in and you pick up the next guy. Skywalker. Rank these. Sheehan, who just got hit hard. Rasmussen, who, let's see, no longer a starting caliber pitcher. Ryan Nelson and Fott. I know Sheehan wasn't that great, and I know that the Dodgers are going to patch up that rotation to some extent, but I'm not completely out on him. Rasmussen, I really wonder now, honestly, if they're just going to not even have him start at all the rest of the season. Who knows? I'm going to go Nelson, and then Fott, and then Sheehan, and then Rasmussen. All right, let's see. Van Rod. Would you drop Nolan Arenado, Tyler Freeman, or Goldschmidt for Brandon Walter, Michael McGreevy, Eric Lauer, or Dean Kramer? Only if you are pretty desperate at starting pitcher. I mean, I know I did put Arenado on the cut list not too long ago. I don't feel like you have to keep him. I mean, if this is just – if you're asking because these guys are sitting on your bench, sure, I think you could drop Arenado and you probably won't be sad and miss him. I mean, you're probably not going to really be sad if you drop Freeman either. You can drop Arenado, and if you really need somebody – I'm going to say let's run with Walter and see how long the magic lasts. And if not, Kramer is fine. He's a guy who will be up and down. It's a 10-teamer. Yeah, it's a 10-team league. I just saw that, by the way. 10-team points league. Yeah, points league. I might go Kramer anyways. Should you be worried about Robbie Ray? No. I don't know why. He's been pretty awesome all season long. There's plenty of other guys you could be worried about. I don't think Robbie Ray is one. All right, Neftali. Last question already. Okay. I got Ian Happ and Brent Rooker, Roman Anthony, Profar Stars, but all of those guys are on waivers. You've got to be in a pretty shallow league. O'Neal Cruz is on waivers. Stowers and Roman Anthony. Okay. Ian Happ has been so cold. You can drop in this league, drop Happ now. I'm going to add, I want to add Anthony and Stowers and Cruz and Ramos. But in your case, don't drop Rooker. Rooker's fine. Drop Happ. Let's pick up O'Neal Cruz. Okay, let's see. Dennis Grace. Captain Crunch. Thoughts on Royce Lewis and Uelvi Marti? Fine, totally fine. Marte, we don't know. We don't know exactly what he'll do, but he's been pretty solid lately. Royce Lewis, telling you, could be breakout second half. So I think you're fine here. Yeah, you're totally fine. Ryan Wasnoja, drop Jacob Wilson. Not for Durbin. Absolutely not for Durbin. Now, Jacob Wilson is interesting. Generally, I'm going to say no, don't drop Jacob Wilson. He's competing for an AL batting title, and the power has been decent. I can see Wilson maybe letting down in the second half. He's kind of already getting there, but I don't think he needs to be dropped. I mean, I'd like to pick up Stowers, but in your case, again, you're a more shallow league. I think you can keep Wilson. And then let's see. Hunter Goodman or Wilson Contreras? Ooh. It's an interesting question. I think I'm going to go Goodman for upside. He's shown more power than Contreras these days. I'll go Goodman. Another catcher question from Dennis. Langoliers or Rushman? Oh, man. Rushman is a tough one. He's been so disappointing. It wasn't just the injury, right? He was just basically a bust. Not as bad a bust as some others, but yeah, trust me. I had Adley Rushman, and he was very disappointing all year. He should be better. I would take a chance on Rushman. I mean, this is going to be a close call either way. Langoliers will give you more power. Rushman should hit for more average. So this could go either way. What I might want to do, if you have Dennis, if you have Langoliers right now, just hold on to him and start him. And even after Rushman comes back, if you see that he isn't doing anything, then you can say, okay, I'm fine with Langoliers. If he hits right away, then you can pick him up. I mean, I don't know if anybody's rushing out to pick him up yet. Tribal. Again, Bubba is bad. Yes. It was a few weeks ago, I think I said, just, you know what? Just forget it. Just cut bait with Bubba Chandler. He's not the top pitcher to stash anymore. Add a Painter. If you're stashing him, drop him. Add Andrew Painter instead. There's plenty of other pitchers you could add. I'll talk about him, Beat the Breakout. Yeah, you can cut Bubba. I've already dropped him in my leagues. All right, Scott Rucker wants to know about Albies and Robert turning around. It takes more than a good game or two to convince me, or yeah. Should I drop Profar for them? No. Not in a points league, especially. In a points league, Profar definitely more valuable than Luis Robert. Definitely. Luis Correa wants to know if Luke Keyshaw is worth stashing. Absolutely. I love Keyshaw. We talked about him a lot early in the season. I've been stashing him. Yes, he's a guy I'm definitely going to grab now. Let's see. Cinema Room. All right. Welcome. Suddenly have pitching and no hitting. Because you got Glasnow back, Woodruff back. Gavin Williams, man, he had a nice day. Trevor Rogers, pleasant surprise, but I wouldn't get too excited. Bieber, we'll see. Wow, you want Vlad or Soto? Okay, well, yeah, you're going to have to go with some of those first couple of guys if you really want Vlad or Soto. I'm not sure. Look, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If I have Vlad, I'm not trading him for any two of those pitchers. But if you're gonna try, it would probably have to be Cease and either Sanchez or Woodruff, I think. I mean, I say that because I'd like to keep Glasnow. I mean, look, if you want one of those pitchers, you almost gonna say, hey, take your pick. Take two of these pitchers. I'd rather not trade both Cease and Glasnow, but that might be what it takes. So, but I'm fine doing that. TM, I'm using Jazz as my second baseman. Good idea. As you drop, that's exactly what I'm doing. Who are your top two second basemen here? Lopez, Xavier Edwards, Jazz, Albies, and McClain. Jazz has to be first, I think. I can't put Albies up here anymore. McClain, so also kind of disappointing, but also inconsistent. Man, are we really going Otto Lopez over these guys? I'll say this. Jazz is your second baseman. That's fine. Right here, right now, I'd rather play Lopez over those guys. So right now, let's just say Lopez, and then if he slumps, he struggles, or hey, maybe Ozzy Albies does snap out of it. Maybe McClain does get hot again. You could probably pick one of those guys up. So, yeah, I think you're fine with Jazz there, and Lopez as your backup. Okay, a couple more here. Let's see. Oh, and where would Keyshaw? Well, you know, that's right. In some of these, Keyshaw does have second base eligibility. I would put, well, I mean, I value him probably more than all of those players other than Jazz. So I might put him second. I know that maybe that's overly optimistic for a guy who's barely played the majors, but we saw what he did. As soon as he got called up, he was hitting, and that's what he is. He's hit first. Defense isn't his thing so much. Who cares? I might put him second there in that group. So would he be a good replacement for Terang? Well, Terang, there's nothing wrong with starting Terang. You're getting speed and average, and he's in a great lineup, so he scores runs. That's risky, trade Terang for a pitcher. I mean, you could do that if you need pitching. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. But again, Keyshaw just coming off a long-term injury, it's risky. So if you really need a pitching and you're willing to take the risk, you could try it, but just be ready, right? Maybe you can pick up another second baseman if things go south with Keyshaw. It's not a sure thing. I love Keyshaw, but he's definitely not a sure thing. Is Priester worth adding in a 10-man league? Nah, you got better options. You definitely have better options than him out there. And let's see, you're in a points league. Okay. So, yeah, Jacob Wilson definitely more valuable in a points league. So I'm just going to keep Jacob Wilson there. Stowers definitely good too, but I'll keep Wilson. Interest in Kyle Bradish for late season as people? Yep, I picked him up in probably the only league I could where he was available still. A lot of people did stash him in my leagues. Yeah, absolutely. Bradish actually could be back pretty soon. I think it was, I mentioned it was just pretty aggravating that we might see Kyle Bradish pitch before Grayson Rodriguez this year. And that was so annoying that Grayson Rodriguez injury. But anyways, yeah, I think Bradish is actually a nice sneaky stash here. All right. Wow, I feel like I'm already caught up here. Any other last questions before we get out? By the way, this is a good time to mention, if you didn't catch the videos, I talked about my bold predictions for the second half just came out, and also trades. A lot of trades are going to happen in the next few days. The guys I think are going to benefit the most if they get traded, as is speculated. So check that out. I talk about 12 different players. I think you might want to try to buy low, or just buy. I can't even say buy low or Geno Suarez. Just buy while you can, or add. They might be on waivers. I mean, you never know. A lot of you guys are in different leagues. So between them, yeah, I would go Bradish for a stash because I haven't heard anything about G-Rod actually being close to coming back to pitching. Bradish is actually rehabbing. I think Kyle Bradish is the stash there. Yep. Go ahead and do it. All right, guys. Well, one more question. 2 more questions. The day later. Activate Marte. Do I cut Lopez or move Jazz to outfield and cut Brian Reynolds? Well, you know what? If you're not going to start Otto Lopez, which you aren't because you got Marte and you have Jazz, yeah, just cut Lopez. The thing is with Reynolds, he might get traded. Now, it's tricky with him because he apparently has a list of only like 6 teams, and they're all like the best teams in baseball, and they might not want to trade for him, but they might. Who knows? I mean, he's got a no trade, some sort of no trade clause, I think. But Brian Reynolds, if he gets moved, I mean, he's been a huge underachiever in terms of expected stats. He should be better. I think it's worth holding on to Reynolds in case. So you can cut Lopez because you really don't need him. All right. Fantasy sports with Yuri and Chase over all of these. Yeah. I mean, look, McClanahan, obviously very, very high upside, but he still is going to take a couple of weeks. For right here, right now, I mean, you have all these options. You just keep Chase Burns for sure, and I would keep Yuri, and let's hope that he keeps it going. I like McClanahan, I like Arrighetti, I like Miller, I like Bradish, but you can wait. If you have all those guys are options for you, might as well wait and see. And then let's see, Knuckleball. Add one of these 5. Walker, Cags, Robert, Friedel, Holiday. Well, you know I'm going option 2. I'm going to buy into Caglione. It's there for him. I think he breaks out. I will take a chance on that because guess what? I know Christian Walker ain't breaking out with anything the second half. He's going to probably keep doing what he's been doing. Robert, what is his average going to be? Friedel is just fine. And then Holiday, I mean, Holiday is worth having, but are the Orioles just going to get worse as the second half goes on? Yeah, just give me the upside of Cags. Doyle finally jumping in here. Cut 1. Bohm, Barger, Hap. Cut Hap. Oh, wait a minute. Bohm? No, get rid of Bohm. Bohm's on the IL. He hasn't been that good anyways. Yeah, you can cut Bohm. V-Rush. Thoughts on Fott? I don't expect a huge bounce back or anything. I think he's a fringe starter. I really do. I just don't think he's not a special pitcher. He's not. I hate to say it. All right. Last but not least, fantasy sports. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm not active on X. I used to kind of do it sometimes, but just can't. I mean, I'm really not active on social. Period. I like to try to keep the Q&A here on the channel, and we do have a Discord. I don't know if you guys are on the Discord, but I can drop the link if you give me a second. We have Discord. It's mainly for the football channel, but also we do have a baseball channel in there. And some of you guys who watch are in there. I know he's not in here right now, but Benny always uses it. Let me see if I can get the link. So yeah, I try to avoid the socials, especially these days. I have to create an invite. Here, let's see if this works. Hopefully can find the Discord link right there. See if that works. All right. There it is. Harry, you already know my answer here. Actually, no, you don't. Those are the 3 best prospects that are out there. I'm going to go Kurtz, though. I got to stick with my boy, Nick Kurtz. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Check out the videos, as I mentioned, the ones that just came out, and I got more videos coming out, of course, the rest of this week as well. Good luck to everybody this coming week in fantasy baseball.